Hey everybody, it's Jason with Parallel Reality coming back with you here today with an article from the Daily Signal dated April 2nd. I almost said August there. I don't know why. It says, who's funding the Burn a Tesla, Save Democracy protests? And I think we all have a pretty good idea who's doing it, but let's see what the article has to say. As Americans took to the streets Saturday for the latest round of protests targeting Tesla and condemning Elon Musk for his work with President Donald Trump, but these protests trace back to a larger movement with funding from the left's dark money network. And I already see the name he's going to refer to, and that's exactly who I figured everyone would be thinking it was anyway. So who is it? So some of the organizations that encouraged and helped organize the protests have raked in millions from arms of George Soros' Open Society foundations and from other nonprofits that act as middlemen between the left's major donors and its operations on the ground. This Open Society claims that it does not fund or direct protests, though public records show that it has funded at least one of the groups helping to organize them. So, like RICO charges, anybody? Can we do something there? It says, in the Tesla takedown day of action, Saturday, protesters targeted more than 275 Tesla dealerships in the U.S. and over 500 worldwide, Fox News Digital reported. I'm doing good with the English today, aren't I? It says, protesters held up a sign reading, Burn a Tesla, Save Democracy at a protest in New York City. Yeah, that, I hate to break it to you guys, but burning a Tesla doesn't save democracy. It does, like, literally nothing. Just makes you look like idiots. It says, former Wall Street Journal reporter and propaganda expert Asra Nomani, who's a very good follow and a very smart lady herself, has teamed up with the Fairfax County Times to create a chronology of the protest actions, building a public database of anti-Tesla protests published on actionalert.com and mobilize.us. According to Nomani, the Seattle-based protest organization Troublemakers and the Philadelphia-based group Disruption Project have sponsored about 70%, or 220, of the protests. Local chapters of Indivisible Project, a Washington-based nonprofit, have organized about 29%, or 87 of them, according to Nomani. Indivisible Project told the Daily Signal that it did not organize the Saturday protests, but several of its local chapters participated in them. Sounds, again, like a I don't know, like a RICO. I keep thinking RICO charges. Like we didn't organize them, but we were involved. This Indivisible Project may not have directly organized the protest, but it did publish a guide for organizing protests against Musk. So yes, they are absolutely 100% complicit in it. It says Indivisible is not focused on Tesla as a business. Sarah Dull, Indivisible's chief communications officer, told the Daily Signal in a statement Tuesday. It's not about cars, dealerships, or private enterprise. What we are focused on is educating communities and drawing urgent attention to the fact that Elon Musk, an unelected billionaire, and notice how they don't talk about their own unelected billionaires, plural, says is now operating as a de facto government official. He's not, wielding power over federal agencies and public resources that families depend on without a single vote cast in his name. I did mention George Soros earlier. They don't talk about him. They don't talk about Reid Hoffman. They don't talk about J.B. Pritzker. But, Elon's doing something, so they talk about that one. And what I always say is, whenever a leftist or a Democrat tries to complain about something Republicans are doing, there is almost always something on their own side that they've been doing that's identical or almost always worse. Such as, they'll give you crap about Elon being an unelected billionaire that's helping out the Republicans, but they'll say literally nothing about their own side doing the exact same thing again or worse. So let's keep going here. It says Indivisible unequivocally condemns violence and property destruction, she added. They're involved in it, though. It says, meanwhile, the Justice Department has brought charges against at least 4 defendants for lighting Teslas, a Tesla dealership, and Tesla charging stations on fire using Molotov cocktails. The attacks took place in Colorado, Nevada, Oregon, and South Carolina. Last week, the FBI opened a special task force examining the rash of attacks. And yeah, I bet they're going to find something, and it's not going to be what the left wants to see. So the swarm of violent attacks on Tesla property is nothing short of domestic terrorism, Attorney General Pam Bondi declared in March. The Department of Justice has already charged several perpetrators with that in mind, including in cases that involve charges with 5-year mandatory minimum sentences. We will continue investigations that impose severe consequences on those involved in these attacks, including those operating behind the scenes to coordinate and fund these crimes. Says Musk called for arresting people for funding the attacks, though he did not establish any direct tie between the protests and the attacks. Said it is time to arrest those funding the attacks, he posted on X Sunday. Arresting their puppets and paid foot soldiers won't stop the violence. No, but it will certainly help. Excuse me, I'm not cutting that out. It'll certainly help if they see like the people that are funding them are actually getting, thrown away or being charged with things. So There's Elon's tweet, so we'll skip down. And it says, Indivisible weighs in this next section here. It says, Dole, the Indivisible spokeswoman, drew a clear distinction between the peaceful protests and the arson attacks. It says these were regular people holding poster board signs on sidewalks, exercising their First Amendment rights to free speech and protest, she said. Any attempt to conflate these community events with the violent attacks you reference is both dishonest and reckless. I would guarantee that there is some connection there between the two. Okay, I doubt she knows anything about it. And if she does, she's lying, but I doubt it. But I'm sure it's at some other level that doesn't involve her. But I would almost guarantee there's some sort of connection there. Those Tesla town halls are just one small tactic in a larger recess guide we distributed to our members, alongside advice for attending congressional town halls, organizing empty chair events, and pushing for accountability from elected officials, she added. That's what democracy looks like. As we do not pay protesters, Dole told the Daily Signal. Our organization does reimburse indivisible groups for food, flyers, or a stack of poster board. However, I'm sure they do reimburse them. She's just probably saying that they don't. It says, if your story is really about communities peacefully organizing to stop a billionaire from rigging our government for himself and his donors, yes, Indivisible is proud to be a part of that, she said. Remember, she's completely leaving out her side doing that exact thing that she's talking, or that she's speaking out against here, okay, just because it doesn't go for what she wants. So small dollar donors are the backbone of Indivisible's budget, and we're proud to be accountable to a nationwide grassroots base, not a single donor or interest. Dole added, I'm going to press X to doubt on that. It says, yet she acknowledged funding from two massive left-wing foundations. Both Indivisible Project and the Disruption Project have received funding from the left's dark money network. The systems of foundations I expose in my book, that's not me, Jason, but the author of the articles, is the Woke-topus, the dark money cabal manipulating the federal government. As the book reveals which far-left nonprofits infiltrated and advised the Biden administration, using the administrative state to force woke ideology on the American people. So, who funds these groups? I think we're going to see a familiar name coming up, and I see his name already. So this section is called Open Society Funding. It says Indivisible Project has received at least $8 million from organizations under the umbrella of Open Society Foundations, the funding network established by Hungarian-American billionaire George Soros and now run by his son Alex. So remember that spokeswoman lady, I'm not going to say anything about this. It says, according to IRS records, the Open Society Policy Center gave Indivisible $875,000 in the year ending in December 2021, $1.135 million in the following year, and $3 million in the year after that. In 2023, Open Society Action Fund awarded Indivisible with a $3 million grant over a 2-year period. It says the years of IRS records may or may not align with calendar years. Open Society insisted that it does not fund protesters or direct protests. I'm sure to some degree they probably do. It says the Open Society Foundation does not fund protesters or direct protests. The foundation told the Daily Signal, we condemn all acts of violence and any unlawful behavior, which of course they probably have to say. They're not going to be like, yeah, we condone all this and F those people and those things. Like, yeah, then they'd probably really get in trouble. It says our work is dedicated to promoting human rights guaranteed by the Constitution, protecting fundamental freedoms and strengthening American democracy, the foundation added. I'm going to press X to doubt. As the foundation also pointed to a statement from May 2024 stating that while some grant recipients seek to articulate and amplify dissenting voices through petitions, meetings, and peaceful public protests, most recipients of Open Society money have no involvement with protests of any kind. Dole, the Indivisible spokeswoman, noted that Open Society funding does not determine or direct our work. She also called Open Society a legitimate, globally respected foundation that has supported democratic movements, again, I can talk, human rights, and civil society for decades. So they're gussying up what they actually do. I mean, if George Soros is involved, it's a nefarious thing. So there we go. So the other group here is the Tides Foundation, which I've heard of, but I don't really know much about. So the Tides Foundation and its sister nonprofit, Tides Advocacy, have funneled more than $3 million to Indivisible. The Tides Foundation gave Indivisible $1.27 million in the year ending December 2018, $50,000 the following year, $230 in the year after that, $147,000 in the year ending December 22, and $100,000 in the following year. That total adds up to more than $1.8 million. Tides Advocacy gave Indivisible $2.24 million in the year ending December 2018, and another $150,000 in the year ending December 2020. Tides Advocacy gave $20,000 to the Disruption Project in the years ending in December of 2020, 21, 22, and 23 for a total of $80,000. Then here's something I've never heard of, is the Movement Voter Project. I think that's the end of the article then. Yep, it is. So it says the Movement Voter Project, which directs leftist donors' funds to activist groups, sent the Disruption Project $5,000 in the year ending December 2020 and another $8,400 2 years later. It says the Daily Signal also reached out to the Tides Foundation, Tides Advocacy, the Movement Voter Project Troublemakers, and the Disruption Project for comment, but did not receive a response by press time. And that's it. That is the end of the article. So, oops, like I said here, who's footing the protest? Well, I think we have a pretty good idea, and I like how like what I said, I should say, that whatever the left is doing, it's all confession by projection. Okay, whatever the left says the right is doing, they've already done worse. That's the easiest way to put it. So, do you agree with what this particular author has found? Do you think it's these foundations? Do you think there should be RICO charges against them? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Please like, share, subscribe, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.